Pandemic could involve 3 months of devastating impacts to all of us. We may see our economy wrecked. We may see a number of businesses close. Many of our friends, some of our family may experience severe illness or even die. We will all know someone who's probably lost their job because of this event. This is going to be a long-term disaster. The impacts are going to be severe for many weeks to months. Just about everything we buy, sell, eat, wear, or otherwise consume comes through a port of entry or otherwise is transported along our roads or railways. And during a pandemic, these types of systems could be significantly impacted. Life on the street will look very different. Buses will be much less crowded. Walking into department stores or restaurants or coffee shops, people will be spaced apart from each other. Schools and licensed child care centers will likely be closed if it's a severe event. People will not be allowed to come into certain buildings if they're symptomatic. If they're coughing or sneezing, people will be directed to go home and not be allowed into certain buildings. All aspects of society will see a reduction in workforce due to absenteeism.
When a pandemic hits, it's going to come to your community and it's going to cause problems. So we need to just think ahead to what might happen if our supplies are interrupted and if our resources aren't coming in, and understand how we can make do for weeks or maybe months under those circumstances and still survive.
It's important during a pandemic that business and government and other organizations implement social distancing in their work environment.
Influenza primarily spreads from these little droplets of saliva that are expelled when someone coughs, sneezes, or talks. And so generally these droplets go between 3 and 6 feet and then fall out on the ground where they're no longer harmful. So social distancing would mean, whenever possible, keep 3 to 6 feet away from someone else during the time when the pandemic virus is circulating.
The key is to keep your most critical functions running, but redesign your workplace so that employees can stay 3 to 6 feet away from each other. They have a work environment to do their jobs, but you're closing things like common areas such as kitchens, you're regulating access to places like copy rooms, and you're conducting meetings differently. In a pandemic, an individual might practice social distancing by, for example, telecommuting to work, by walking to work rather than taking public transportation, by going to a coffee shop and standing 3 to 6 feet apart from the other customers, and at work sitting in a cubicle or in an office space that's separated from their coworkers.